Hello and welcome to another video on the updated restrictions for travel. So today I'm updating my previous video, which can be found up here, of travelling from a green listed country or travelling from an amber listed country fully vaccinated to the UK. So previously, now if you were returning from an amber country fully vaccinated, this would only count if you were vaccinated in the UK. So if you were vaccinated anywhere else, then you would still have to quarantine and take the day 2 and day 8 test. But now, the government have announced from August the 2nd, which has passed because I'm making this video on August the 4th, and who knows whenever I post it on YouTube. Anyway, from August 2nd, the government announced that anybody vaccinated in the EU or in the USA can enter the UK without quarantine and without taking a day 8 test. If you're returning from an amber listed country and haven't been vaccinated or haven't received your vaccine in the UK, the EU or the US, then please watch this video up here, as you will have to follow completely different rules. Unfortunately, you will have to quarantine for 10 days and also take a day 2 and day 8 test. So definitely watch this video up here, as that will make all the rules clear. Like I said, this is just for those who are returning from a green list country, or if you've been fully vaccinated in the UK, EU or US and you're returning from an amber listed country. I'll also link it down below in the description, the top link. So before I go on with this video, I'd just like to say, please do your own research on this too, because the rules are constantly changing. This video might be out of date, this video could be out of date tomorrow, who knows. Like I said, I will try and keep making videos as these rules change, but just do your own research too, just so you're absolutely sure that nothing's changed. But this week I did return from a green list country and I followed all these steps and got in absolutely fine, no problem at all. Alternatively, I do have a Twitter account up here. This is where I will post regular updates of the restrictions changing, any countries that get added to the green list or the amber list or taken off, etc. I would try my best to post updates as soon as possible on there, so that's obviously a lot quicker to get little bits of information than through YouTube, as most of my videos are out of date pretty quickly. Also, like I always say, feel free to ask me comments below. Again, I would recommend messaging me on Twitter, as I will respond quicker on there, but I will do my best to get back to you as quick as I can and as best I can. I might not be able to answer all of your questions, but I'll do my best and hopefully I can help some of you. I do go back to university this week, so expect videos to slow down and slower responses to comments. So like I said, I'll do my best to get back to you as quick as I can. And as always, I'll link everything below, everything I mentioned, plus some extra stuff to try and help you guys out as best as I can. So just one more thing, fully vaccinated means that you have received both doses and 2 weeks has passed since your final dose. So they're quite strict on that. Just remember that 2 weeks must have passed since your second vaccine. So like I said, this week I returned from a green list country, so hopefully I can give you like my perspective of travelling during this time and how long everything took, how easy, how hard things were, as it can be quite strict and quite difficult. So yeah, what do you need? There are 3 things you need, and all of these things you would have need to have done before you can board your flight, before you can even check in. So I will go through each one, my experience and your options. So first of all, you need a negative COVID test taken within 72 hours. Okay? You also, so step 2, you also need to have completed the passenger locator form within 48 hours. And finally, step 3, you will need to take a day 2 test on your arrival. Right, so the first thing you need is a negative COVID test taken within 72 hours before your flight departs. This can either be a PCR test or an antigen test. It also cannot be an NHS test. Antigen tests are normally cheaper, and you obviously get your results much quicker. They can take like 20 minutes, whereas a PCR test can take up to 3 days. So generally an antigen test is the best way to go, as it's fast and cheap. When you get your results, you do require a certificate, and there are things the certificate must contain. I'll post that somewhere up here, and I'll link the requirements below, as there's quite a few. Now they can deny you boarding if your test doesn't contain one of these things, so make sure you get all of that information on that test certificate that says your test was negative. So now my suggestion, if you're going on holiday, from what I did, is to find a company where you can buy tests and take them with you to take out there. This avoids any stress of having to find a test in an unknown country, any unknown costs, etc. So I just returned from Madeira, which at the time was on the green list. Now they did offer free tests out there, so it is worth checking if the country you're in offers free tests. So it is worth looking if money is an issue. However, this can be quite stressful. There might not always be appointments available. They might be difficult to find, blah blah blah. But if that's an option for you, definitely would recommend doing that. So, like I said, we used a company where we brought the tests that got delivered to our address here, and then we took them with us and we took the test out there. We used a company called Breathe Assured. This is what you get, this test. Yeah, so what you do, you purchase it, you take the test with you, you book an appointment, and you take the test on a Zoom call with a nurse. The tests are pretty cheap, and they get cheaper the more you buy. So I think I paid £30 for each test, and I think we bought 5. If you saw my other video, you would see I had them all. So yeah, these are one of the cheapest tests that I've seen that you can buy. Also, if you're in a group, you can all be on the same Zoom call. So there was 3 of us all on one Zoom, which was very handy. It meant we didn't have to have 3 different Zoom calls, and the calls last about 20 to 30 minutes. You can also buy multiple tests and take them on different days. So it's definitely a cheap way of doing it if you know you're going to travel a couple of times. I have to say, I was very impressed with the company, from ordering them all the way to actually taking the test. I would buy them early and book the appointment as early as you can, as they do book up pretty fast. I haven't checked the website, but when I looked last time, they were booked up for like 2 weeks in advance maybe. So definitely, if you know you're going to go away and you want to do this, buy it as quick as possible. It is also next day delivery, so they will deliver. If you order before 2 PM, they will deliver the next day. If not, it will be the day after. The registration was very simple. As soon as you've ordered, you can book your test, book your appointment to take the test. You just need to make sure you register online before you take that, and then obviously you take the test on the Zoom call. The nurse will talk you through how to take it. It also comes with instructions. Just bear in mind, most of the nurses aren't from the UK, so if they ask you like what time it is in the UK, don't think, why are you asking me? I think my nurse was from South Africa, so just also bear that in mind. They then, once you show them that your test is negative, I should have bought mine to show you. It's just like a normal lateral flow test when you get like the line that shows you're negative. You get a certificate like this, and it contains everything that you need to have had on it, like your date of birth, your passport number, what type of test it was, etc. All that, you can keep it on your phone or you can print it out. Okay, so the next step, I'm actually going to talk about step 3 before I talk about step 2. If you have seen my other videos, you will know why. So the third step is a day 2 test, which you have to take on or before your second day after arrival into the UK. This comes before step 2 because you actually need to order this before you can complete step 2. This is because when you order your day 2 test, you will get a booking reference in the email. I'll post it up here somewhere. This will be included in the email, and you need this number to be able to fill out the passenger locator form, as it will ask you for a booking reference number for your day 2 test. You cannot fill out your passenger locator form without it, so this is why this step must be done first. I recommend again ordering this as early in advance as you can. So we used Randox, and I've used them before and I've had zero issues with them at all. Like I've said in my other videos, I have seen people that have had problems with them and there's negative reviews out there, but I've used them 3 times now. I used them when I was returning from America, I used them for my pre-departure test to Madeira, and I used them as my day 2 test after Madeira. Also took my day 2 test with 4 others who also had absolutely no issues. So that's just why I use Randox. They're also one of the cheapest. So their delivery takes between 2 to 4 days, I think. So obviously it's ideal to order them. If you're going on holiday, it's ideal to order them before you go away, so you can take delivery of them and you know you have them. Or if you don't have time, it's fine, you can order them when you're away, and just make sure you put the delivery address down correctly as the place that you're going to return to when you come home. There are many discount codes out there. Here's a couple. This brings the cost down to £43. They are one of the cheapest out there, but I have found other places for like £28 and all that. But like I said, I chose Randox because I've used them before and they were very reliable for me. So if Randox isn't for you, there is a section on the Gov website that will give you options in order of cost, and you can like filter the area down. I'll link that below too, as some in-person places can be cheaper than at-home testing kits, but obviously it's no good if it's the other side of the country. So also another thing, on my previous video I did have a lot of questions asking about how do they get a day 2 test if they're staying in a hotel and are from obviously another country. So I have 3 recommendations for you. The easiest is probably to ask your hotel if they will take delivery of your test. Get in contact with them, they should have an email. If they do say no, alternatively I would use the Gov website that I just talked about to find a clinic in your area that offers them in person. I know Boots offer them pretty much nationwide in their shops, but obviously they can be more expensive. But that's definitely worth a look around the area you're staying, as you might get lucky and find one that's even cheaper than an in-person test. And my third suggestion, which I even considered, you can take your day 2 test on or before day 2, which means you can take it on day 0 if you wanted to, which is the day you arrive. So a lot of airports do offer testing in or around the terminal. So I know if you land at Heathrow, there's a very cheap in-person test, cheaper than Randox, that you can take in person at the Marriott Hotel. Again, I'll link that below. I also know Stansted offer them in the terminal with Collision. So definitely check the airports that you're travelling to if they offer it. The annoying thing about this is the timings. I think the Stansted one is only until like 7 PM, so if you arrive in the evening then it's not ideal. But if you're staying near the airport too, then this is certainly another option too. So finally, on to the last step. You have to fill out the passenger locator form within 48 hours before departure. Now, you can fill out this anytime during the 48-hour period, but it must be before you check in, otherwise they won't let you check in without it. It does ask you for a lot of information and it can be quite confusing. They do ask the same question multiple times, so don't worry if they keep asking you what is your date of arrival. Just keep putting the same date in. I don't know if they do it just to catch you out or if it's a mistake, but I think they ask for it 2 or 3 times. So just make sure you get in all the information correct. I know some people have got a bit confused when they get to this section if you made an account. So if you get to this point, you literally just click the top option to fill out the form. You fill out all the details and then you will get a QR code which you will need. You would need the front of the form. If you do find this difficult, then I can make a video on how to fill out the passenger locator form. If that's an option, just comment below if you get confused. But once you're on it, the questions, like I said, can be a bit difficult, but it's pretty straightforward. Just answer them with all the information. Make sure everything is correct. Really make sure you get your passport number correct, etc. So yeah, that's the 3 steps you need. Now, I'm gonna talk briefly on my experience, how it works, what you need when, how long it takes, and all that. So I'm going to start off right at the beginning at check-in. So most short-haul flights, check-in opens around 2 hours before departure. I would recommend getting there before that to start queuing, as there was already a very long queue when it opened. I think long haul, like if you're coming from America, is 3 hours. So I would recommend to get there a little before that, but 3 hours should be enough time. Like I said, we were a short haul flight, so it didn't open until 2 hours before. We got there about 3 hours before, just because of the way everything worked out, like checking out of the hotel and things, the timings. We were like, yeah, let's just get to the airport and we'll start queuing. And we were actually the first people in the queue. But literally, as soon as we arrived, a queue started forming behind us. And by the time check-in opened, it was pretty long. But yeah, I would definitely recommend leaving yourself as much time as you can, whether it's exactly 2 hours or a little bit before, because the queues can be quite long and check-in takes a lot longer since nobody can check in online and they need to see all these things. It's just like extra checks that take a long time, especially in some countries they don't have representatives of the airline, so not to be mean or anything, but sometimes they don't quite know what they're doing or what they're looking for, and so it can take that extra bit longer. So when you eventually get to the check-in desk, they will obviously ask to see your passport, and they'll also ask to see your negative COVID test. You can show them this on your phone or you can print it out. I would recommend doing both just in case. Twice I have flown, and so twice I've had to show a negative COVID test to get back into the UK. When I flew back from America, they took it very, very seriously, checking every part of the test, checking that my passport number matched, and checking that I had all the information that was on that list that was required. This was the exact same when I flew back from Madeira. They checked everything thoroughly, so really make sure you have all that information you need, as some countries can be pretty strict. And if your test doesn't have one of those things, they can deny you checking in. They will then also ask you for your passenger locator form, so you just show them that again. That can be on your phone or you can print it out. I had both on my phone just because we didn't have access to a printer, but pieces of paper is probably easier, as you can just give them both to the person at the same time instead of giving them your phone, then them giving your phone back to you, and then you have to scroll and try and find the other thing and then you give it back to them. Yeah, it's just easier if you print it out, but it's not an issue if you do have it on your phone. So if you have everything and it's all correct, they will then let you check in and they'll give you a boarding pass, check your bags in, etc. Once you're checked in, everything's like normal, go through to security, board your flight. That was the last time they asked to see my negative test and my passenger locator form. So on to arriving into the UK. Now, when you land, a lot of what I'm about to say will vary on the country you're travelling from, your nationality, how many flights have arrived before you, the timing, and how quick you get off the aeroplane. So personally, as a British citizen, it was pretty fast, especially if you can go through the E-gates. It speeds things up a lot. Literally, all you need is your passport. You scan your passport with the E-gates and they'll open and let you through. It did say there was random checks on the passenger locator form, but I never got asked for that. So the only time they checked my negative COVID test and passenger locator form was at check-in in the airport I was departing from. I would imagine if you go to a desk or if you're from a different country, then they might ask to see it, or to see both your passenger locator form and your negative COVID test, as like you're actually speaking to a person. But I'm not 100% on this, so just bear that in mind. So on to timings. Timings do vary quite a lot. I personally would recommend trying to sit nearest to the front of the aircraft as possible, as this will definitely reduce your time queuing. Most airlines now deboard the plane in small groups from the front, so I know British Airways did 1 to 5, 5 to 10. So definitely try and get in front of as many people as you can, otherwise you're going to be behind these in the queue, and the queue can get quite long sometimes. So as a personal experience, I think I got quite lucky. I landed at Heathrow, and like I said, everything worked out pretty good for me. I got off the aeroplane pretty fast. There wasn't very many flights before me. There wasn't a huge queue. It was a reasonable queue, but it wasn't massive. It took me about 40 minutes from stepping off the plane to getting my bags, which is pretty good, especially during these times. But I do know others that have travelled and it's taken them between an hour and a half to 2 hours, so really do bear this in mind when you're travelling. Then once you're through, just remember to take that day 2 test and then you're good to go. So yeah, thank you for watching this video. I really appreciate your support, all the nice comments I get, even the questions. It makes me feel like I can help you guys out. I don't do this for like money or anything. I do this to help you guys because I know how confusing everything is, and I just want to help try and make your life easier. I will constantly try to make updates as the restrictions change, but like I said, I am back at uni next week, so my time does get filled up quickly by that. As always, feel free to comment any questions you may have. I will do my best to answer them as best and as quick as I can. Again, I would recommend you message me on Twitter if that's possible, as I can respond much faster on there. Again, I can also post regular updates more easily on that too. There is another review on travel this week, on updating the lists, so hopefully we'll see more countries on the green list and less countries on the red list, and hopefully soon they will allow more people that are fully vaccinated in other countries, but they haven't said if this is going to happen and when it's going to happen. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks again for watching. Travel safe.